What's up, everybody? Welcome to the TENDO Show. I, of course, am Tendo. That's Hannah, if you didn't somehow know. Go ahead and hit that like button before we even get started today. If we all hit the like button right now and get it up to like 100 likes immediately, then maybe, just maybe, a few more people will get attracted to this stream to hang out with us. Hannah, what do you want to talk about today? No ideas?
How was your week? How are you? How was your life?
You know, my week was a little bit uneventful. We have been clawing our way towards having a little bit more time off. So we've had like every other day off this week off, and we just kind of watched some movies and relax a little bit. So I feel very, very refreshed. Normally we do these late shows, and I am trashed. I feel like absolute hell. I feel pretty good right now.
I yawned like 6 times when we sat down, so I might be feeling the opposite.
You're tired?
I'm okay.
Well, we got a lot of people here. Michael, welcome. Okasm's Electric Toothbrush. I'll be saying your name today because Hannah butchers it every day. Steve, welcome. Mickey, hey. Joe, my man, what's up? Game Changer, welcome. Bloody Bones. Where's everybody at? Everybody comment where you're at. I like it that when not everybody, but a few people when they drop in always say, hey, hello from Michigan or whatever. I enjoy knowing where you guys are. I'm on my phone. I'm just watching the end of Snyder's Army of the Dead. We watched that night before last?
Yeah.
Whatever the premiere night was.
We were just talking about it today, too.
I guess we could talk about that here in a little bit. Normally I like waiting a little bit longer because I don't want to spoil it. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that are going to want to watch it. Yeah. I don't have as much to say about the movie as I do about it being Zack Snyder, probably.
I have more to say about the movie than I have to say about it being Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about Zack Snyder.
Yeah. We got someone from Arizona, Louisiana. There's always lots of Canada people. I'm always surprised. South Carolina, Lincoln, Nebraska, Tennessee. That's awesome. We might watch and like on 3 devices when you go live for the algorithm. I appreciate that. I really do. Nice tie. Thank you very much, Mickey. Was that you? Unfortunately, the hardest bit isn't showing. I mean, I can show this camera.
You should let loose. Open that vest up.
I'm too big around.
Let it breathe.
I'm too big around to not wear a vest, so cool ties get hidden on my shirt. Now I gotta stick my hand up here.
You need a vest with like corset boning in it, so just like.
You're telling me I need to wear a corset, is what you're telling me. That's a new one.
Have you ever put on a corset before?
No.
You don't know what that feeling is?
I don't think I did. I wore some weird Roman costume once that had a little tightening thing on it, but it wasn't necessarily a corset. It was like a corset light.
Yeah. I had one on last week.
Watching from Kentucky, not from your hometown. Where you at? Where at in Kentucky? Watching your show and playing Terraria. It's a good night. Very nice. Did I pronounce that right? I got a little sweaty just reading ahead and seeing that word. Very dapper. Thank you. This is actually a 2/3 of a 3-piece suit that Hannah made me while we were in college. I'm happy to say it still fits. I actually probably shouldn't be happy. It fits the exact same. I'm not up or down. It also had its own jacket, but I left that jacket in a hotel in Texas while out on the road working a long, long time ago.
Man, that jacket was dope.
It was cool. It would not have been appropriate for in here. It was more of a winter suit. It was a big jacket.
Think Ebenezer Scrooge kind
Paducah.
of vibe.
This man's from Paducah. You know what? I don't know how to even tell you to find it because I don't advertise it a lot, but I do have a YouTube channel that's just my name where I post films that I've shot with friends, and I would say more than half of those movies on that channel were shot in Paducah, Kentucky. I would say Paducah, Kentucky is probably the town I know the best outside of my hometown within Kentucky because I've just spent so much time there filming movies with friends. So very familiar. Somebody from Georgia, very nice. I think it's just an excuse for you guys to dress up pretty much. Where else am I going to go to the thrift store like this? No.
I mean, I would go to the thrift store like this. I'm considering it. Well, I like this outfit.
The point of the dressing up is like most things surrounding this channel, I have bigger ambitions than we're currently able to produce. And I would very much so like to have a desk and have guests and stuff like this. And these are all things that we'll do years down the road when it makes more sense to. But why not just start looking like we know what we're doing now? Fake it till you make it. William, welcome. Jeremy, glad you're here. Las Cruces, New Mexico. I've only ever driven through Las Cruces. Hannah's giving us Princess Leia vibes.
You like Malaya buns?
I
Ah!
like slapping them buns. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Taylor, welcome. Niagara Joe smashed and then closed. I'm reading somebody's random conversation. Hi, Hannah and Tendo, looking dapper. Thank you very much and welcome. Glad you guys are here. Well, I guess, has anyone actually watched the Zack Snyder zombie movie? I don't even know what it's called.
Something of the Dead. Army of the Dead. There
Army
it
of
is.
the Dead, yeah. I'll tell you what is really funny about the movie. You guys comment below if anyone watched it. If you didn't, just hang tight. We're only going to talk about it for a minute. I'll tell you what COVID did to me that I think it's been mostly a positive. It pulled me out of the news cycle. It pulled me out of my habits of how and when I consume media. It just destroyed all that. Being locked at home for several months, I came out of that cycle, that time, and just didn't go back to watching and consuming things the way that I did. So if it were this time a couple years ago and Zack Snyder made a zombie movie, I would have known he was making it and everything. I knew nothing about this film. I didn't read one single article and or headline about it, and was very surprised to open Netflix, see a movie by Zack Snyder, especially this soon after the whole Justice League debacle, right?
Yeah.
So the movie was fine. It was perfectly fine, and any problem I had with it kind of made sense after I found out some of the reshoots and stuff they did. So it's always interesting. You messed up her bun. Did I? I didn't. No, I mean it was already laying kind of crooked.
This is kind of funny talking about it because Niagara Joe is literally watching it as we speak. He said they are just now breaking out of the vault.
Okay.
So we're getting a little bit of a play-by-play.
Spoilers, there's zombies coming.
There is, for
yeah,
sure.
Joe, I just want you for the rest of the stream, just give us a play-by-play. What's happening? And that way no one else has to watch it. It felt like it was making fun of zombie movies a bit. That's definitely a fair assessment, but that's probably a product of Zack Snyder's silliness.
Yeah.
Every movie he's made has that. There's something about the Marvel movies and those guys that are making those where they just nailed the comedy and they nailed a very specific flavor of comedy. Zack Snyder has his own flavor of comedy. It sounds like I'm making an excuse for him, and I'm not. It definitely seems that way, but it's just because his interjection of humor into his films, some people just don't get it. Like, Hannah, you honestly didn't like the movie too much, did you?
I didn't. I wanted it to be making fun of zombie movies a little bit more, or don't do it at all. It just didn't feel genuine. Like, none of it really connected with me. I just didn't feel like it was... It just wasn't quite right,
Yeah, it's hard to... I think most people that don't know anything about Zack Snyder and are going to sit down and watch it are going to be a little bit weirded out about it. And that's really all I have to say about it. It was fine. I thought Tig Notaro's role was really strange and awkward through the whole movie, though I didn't think she did a bad job. It just seemed interjected. I said that to Hannah when it was over.
Yeah.
I read a headline today that she was only interjected into the movie because someone else played the part, was accused of sexually assaulting some people, and then ended up not... they ended up reshooting his parts with her.
Snipped him out.
Yeah, and just put her in there, which is fine. Great, that's how it happened. And then it all made sense. I was like, well, that's why it was so awkward. Every scene she was in, I would look at Hannah and go, this is weird. There's something weird happening. Because they would have way too close-ups, like they were just cutting her in like it was an afterthought.
Yeah, which her part was very entertaining. Like, I enjoyed the scenes she was in. There was a little bit of that awkwardness, though. Some of it felt a little, like, forced, a little out of place. And now that we talked about that, I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Well, for me, it's, there is a certain level for me, being someone who's shot video for a living for so many years, and especially narrative film, there's a certain level to which I'm not terrible at suspending my disbelief to watch a movie and let it all go, but sometimes when something is shot in such a strange way, it will distract me perhaps a little bit more than the average viewer. So I was distracted from a filmmaking standpoint that every time she was in a scene, it was just wrong.
Yeah.
But that all ended up being well. But I do love Tig Notaro. So the moment I saw it was her, I was like, yeah, let's go.
Which we could get into a little bit more of the technical stuff. You talked a lot about the, like, technical camera work stuff during that movie.
Yeah. Well, it's because it was distracting. I only ever talk about it if it's done in a way in the movie that's distracting, and it was.
Yeah, you were like, some of the focus throws were like really quick or something. I don't know.
Yeah, their shifting focus was bad, and another thing, a lot of random things were out of focus. And once again, since the movie was on my mind for a little while, I went and Googled it again. That's why I saw the headline about Tig Notaro being a replacement. There's also a bunch of articles explaining why it was out of focus. And we're not going to get into all that, but it was like, it's not that it was shot bad, but it was like, if you go watch my movies, every few scenes there's something out of focus, because I don't have $1 million worth of equipment, so you expect that. You don't expect that on a big budget movie.
Right. You're like, we're going to reshoot this, it was out of focus. Like, oh, man.
Yeah. Hippie Mermaid said, I enjoyed seeing Drax in a more serious role. Yeah. The first film that he was a lead actor in outside of Guardians of the Galaxy was that Stuber movie.
Yes.
And I only remember that because he gave interviews. I remember reading an article where he gave an interview and he was talking about how it was his first lead role. So this will only be his second, third, fourth lead role, and I'm excited to see him do more because he is good. He was pretty good in what was it called? I'll think of it in a minute.
Someone said he was in Blade Runner. Is that
yes,
what you're talking about? Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't think of Blade. He was in Blade Runner, but such a small role. But that was like one of the first times you saw him in a movie at all. Really, a popular movie outside of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm differentiating that from what I said a minute ago, because a minute ago, I mean, lead role, the guy in the movie. Stuber was the first time he did that.
Yeah.
He had been in a couple movies like Blade Runner prior, but he hadn't really done it. He hadn't really done it.
It was enjoyable to watch someone of his size to be in a role of just beating zombies up, which is pretty cool. Because I turned to you during the movie and I was like, "Is he always that ripped?" And you're like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's impressive."
Yeah. So I'm excited. They obviously left it open for a sequel, and I think if they got around to doing a sequel, it would be better. Who knows what amount of this movie was messed up because of COVID and or shot. I'm giving a lot of films I'm watching right now and TV shows the benefit of the doubt because COVID messed everything up.
Yeah.
A lot of shooting schedules. But that's cool. Well, I appreciate you guys participating in that conversation. It was good. I like zombie movies, and someone asked if I ever entertained the thought of making a horror film. And to be honest with you, I haven't. I mean, I'm sure it's crossed my mind at some point, but I haven't given it any serious thought. Where I'm from, and this is no joke, I know probably something like 100, maybe 200 filmmakers from my local area, and they all made horror films. That's all any of them did. And don't get me wrong, some of them did it very well. Some of them made a name for themselves making horror films. But I never wanted to because it was just that it's what everyone was doing kind of thing. So my first film I made in my neck of the woods with Kentucky people was like a Western cowboy time travel, Doctor Who inspired weird film that was just nothing like anyone else was doing. One day, maybe, who knows? But yeah, Hannah asked me last night while we were watching that movie. She's like, "What did you ask me to work?" Because the answer was, "Oh, he was a wrestler."
Yeah.
What did you ask me? Do you remember?
I think it was, "Is he always that ripped?"
Yeah, she asked me why he was so jacked.
He was alarmingly big.
Yeah, he is like, he's built like an ape. Like, his proportions are strange. Dave Bautista. And I was like, he was a wrestler.
You're like, well, yeah, he's like The Rock. I'm like, oh.
Somebody suggested a name for a horror movie, Night of the Living Thrift.
Well,
I'm into it.
What's the premise of that movie? Do all the donated items come to life, or like?
That's a great question.
The ghosts of the people who had them in the past.
I got it. My brain did its thing. Okay, we go to the thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
This is, just so everyone knows, this is the premise for our horror movie that Hannah and I are going to make. It's called Night of the Living Thrift, as named by Hippie Mermaid Bear 23. We go to the thrift store, okay?
Okay.
And we're shopping around, and this movie starts just like one of our episodes, right? So
sure.
You guys click on a video one day, and you just think it's a regular old Tendo blog, and I say, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. Hit the subscribe button, yada, yada, yada. And we go into the thrift store, and Hannah finds this really, really strange garment.
Okay.
And it's a weird color, and I think it's ugly. but you think that
I'm of course obsessed with
but
it.
you love it. And we almost get into an argument. Like I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like it looks like trash. It looks like someone just stained it. It almost looks stained.
Okay.
Okay, but you end up buying it.
Ghoulish.
Yeah, you end up buying it, and mind you, because like most good horror movies, this is like the day before Halloween, and you're like, I'm gonna get it for my Halloween costume tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we're gonna do a live show.
Sure.
On our show. So again, you guys are watching this show. You're watching this video at this point, like it's one of our episodes, and all of a sudden it gets real intense and it turns into like a film. And so I've tricked you all into watch one of my movies. So what ends up happening is you put this shirt on, and it turns you into a zombie.
Oh.
But not like because we have to slow down here, right? Because there's two different kinds of zombies movies, right? You know what they are?
Infected.
And undead.
Possessed? Okay.
Undead. you die and come like the zombie movie with Dave Bautista was an undead movie. You die and then you come back or whatever, or you get infected. Well,
his isn't infected.
Yeah, it kind of was actually. Now that I think about it, there's a fine line between the two, and they could very well kind of be the same thing. And so then the rest of the movie ends up being you like hunting me down, and where do I run except for?
So I'm just trying to kill you.
Yeah, and I go like I'm running from you across town, and then of course in like just a very cinematic way, the place I run to from you ends up accidentally being a Goodwill, and then I survive the night in the Goodwill like towering things up so you can't get me. And
well, you want to hear my idea?
Okay, yours is probably way better. I didn't have a lot of time. You saw my brain. I did that in like 20 seconds.
Yours is way more entertaining. That was a whirlwind.
Well, I like the idea of being in a giant Goodwill running from you and throwing like plushie at you to get you away from me.
But it's me, like you.
All right, what's your idea?
My first thought was that we go to a Goodwill. We're doing our normal thing, and then you get kidnapped.
Okay.
And I have to go rescue you.
Okay.
So I have to find things at the Goodwill really quickly to go get you back.
To save you.
To save you.
You gotta get like an old rotted rope.
Yeah, I got like a fishing pole so I can just like zing so I can follow the car that's chasing you away, and then I like running with like a hatchet thing that they found, and I gotta like throw it at the tire. Like
a lot of people are suggesting that our horror movie should be a zombie Furby. If I could ever afford to secure the rights for this, we'll do that. I swear it now. It's not a bad one though.
I'm scared for Hannah's thrifted choices now.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, filmmaking was just always an idea-driven thing. So anytime I want to make it a film, there was always this quest for the perfect premise. And, making films with my friends, we don't have any money, right? So, Zack Snyder and them, they spent several millions on that film. So anytime I was like, oh, what do I make a film about? I always just tried to find something really clever. And for me, just horror was never really something that I thought of. Puppet Tendo kidnaps all the Bratz dolls. That's not a bad one. Listen, what happens with my filmmaking and my friends is we talk about it, and for a lot of years, like 5 or 6 years, we made a film every year. Around the same time of year, it became a regular routine. We've kind of went more towards a couple years apart between them now because we keep getting more and more serious and larger with the projects. But we were going to do the last film we shot together, which is about 2.5 years ago now, and I talked everyone into shooting 2 films. We would shoot the film during the day, and we would stop at night and shoot a puppet movie. And I kid you not, Hannah and I made dozens of puppets for this puppet movie, and I built spaceships for them. I built this there were these bag puppets made out of paper bags, and there was going to be like 100 of them, and we were going to shoot them all individually on a green screen and do digital effects to where they were a big swarm. We did not end up being able to shoot that film because the original film we were doing became so much trouble. But I want to shoot a puppet movie one of these days. It's just, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to shoot a puppet movie as I'm sure you could imagine. All right, what else we got? What else we can talk about? Because that movie was about all I can think of.
Scott Green said Furbies come alive and the only weapons you have are Nerf guns. You have to kill all the Furbies with Nerf guns. So
we have to pack weird things into the Nerf blasters. I get that.
Oh, that'd be good.
That's funny.
And his name suggestion is Good Kill instead. People are into this idea.
I'm into it too. I'm it's like people ask us, why don't you go to yard sales? Well, it's not because I hate yard sales. It just doesn't. line up with what we do and our interests, and thrift stores have been way easier for us. I mean, we've done yard sales on this channel, but I compare that to this because like it's the same thing. Like I don't dislike horror movies. Like what was that horror series we watched recently that I liked?
Oh shoot, what was it?
I'm so bad at remembering names.
I'm like sifting through the shows that we've watched.
Netflix, right? It's a Netflix original. Somebody will help us out here.
Yes.
Anyways,
horror.
I just don't. I don't actively like. I don't think I've ever went and seen it since I was way younger. Anyways, went and seen a horror movie in theaters. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not what's on the forefront of my mind. But if the opportunity presents itself to make a horror film, you better believe I'm in. But it's going to turn out weird because I'm not going to watch any horror movies in preparation because I'm going to not want to be influenced. I'm going to try to make it up myself, and it's just going to turn out weird because it's not going to be like anything else.
It's going to be one of those like cult classic movies eventually where everyone watches it the first time and goes, I don't get it, and then it becomes a phenomenon.
I want to answer this question from Hippie Mermaid Bear. Hannah, would you want any of the new release Bratz dolls? We have talked about this nonstop. So
yes, I want them all.
And I want you, simple answer, but let's pick a cookie to eat first.
I told Dallas before we went live, I'm like, I want a cookie. He's like, we're going to eat one on stream. I was like, best stream ever.
Right, well, we'll just have people, which one should we eat and which one should we protect? We've already preserved an old one of these. So,
yes.
If you watch today's Mail Time, someone made us cookies. This is the second time they've sent them to us. And we ate them all last time except for one. Hannah kind of kept it. And I kind of, for a while anyways, I think I want to keep the Furby one on the shelf, but I don't... It's so perishable, it's not going to last forever, so then I'm like, well, maybe there's no point. But at least let me look at them for a little while, I'll eat them last. But what cookies you guys comment? Which one do we have to eat? Pick one. Should we just eat my face?
Hippie Mermaid Bear says protect the Furby.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to eat. Rose said eat the ducky. All right, I'm going to eat the ducky. It does say rubber duck
Furby.
yellow on it.
Everyone's saying protect the Furby.
Yeah. It's so hard to want to eat it.
Eat the duck, murder it.
Well, the guys,
Dallas's face.
The guys that made it for us, the girls that made it for us, they told us last time, like, just eat them. We don't, we made them for you to eat.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you are a culinary artist, as these people are, you want people to enjoy your creation, of course, but it is something that you're supposed to eat. So it does kind of feel weird if someone doesn't want to eat it. It's just like, well, I made it to be eaten. You should eat it.
They say you should eat the Bratz.
Okay,
logo.
I'll eat the Bratz logo.
If you're here tonight watching, we want to know how you did this. If you did that by freehand, you're brilliant.
Magician. Oh, but yes, the 20th anniversary Bratz collection has dropped. I haven't seen them on Hot Topic's website yet. They're supposed to be exclusively sold at Hot Topic.
Really? Because something I read later suggested they might be at other places.
Interesting.
Or maybe there might be a situation where certain dolls are exclusive to certain stores. I don't know. You read way more about it than I did, but... Yeah,
and I mean, Bratz, most of it, honestly, the news I got from it was on Instagram. So it was just short little posts of like, hey, these are coming, and this is where you find them. And all the websites said hottopic.com, which I was like, wow, Hot Topic's getting Bratz dolls. That's kind of cool. And so I went onto the website, of course, to go find them, but noticed they have a ton of t-shirts, face masks, all Bratz stuff. And I'm like, that's amazing. Why didn't I know about this? So I need to go to Hot Topic and shop, apparently.
Well,
and
she said it'll be sold on June 1st on Hot Topic, July 1st on Amazon.
Oh, on Amazon. Okay. Yeah, so it's supposed to be...
You said that. You said they were a little bit later.
June 2nd, it's supposed to be in stores.
Right.
But I think...
Or widely available in stores.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably just go make a video out of trying to find all four. I mean, we'll try. Chances are we'll go out and there'll be lines or something for it. Who knows?
Well, it's crazy that, Bratz dolls... I started collecting Bratz dolls just on a whim. It wasn't influenced by anything. I just was like, oh yeah, it's a Bratz doll. That's really cool.
And you bought it.
And then I just started going down the rabbit hole.
And now you have like 100 of them.
Apparently, it's like a phenomenon right now. Like, people are into Bratz stuff. Which, I mean, I noticed on Depop, people sell things that are like Y2K, and they'll like also say it's like Bratz fashion as one of their hashtags to get people like enticed. So I knew it was like in the realm of pop culture right now, but I didn't know it was that big. And I'm pretty excited about it, honestly, to like start my childhood in the era of Bratz dolls and being being in that age group, and my friends getting some of the very first dolls, these same dolls that are part of the re-release, and getting my own dolls and us all playing together, like being part of that era, and now being an adult, being back into Bratz dolls, and then the world starting to re-release and re-celebrate these dolls at the same time. I feel like it's a really great it's a great timing. Like it's crazy that happened. I know there's like a word for it. I'm thinking like kismet, but that's not right.
Well, let me ask you this, because I haven't looked into all this as much as you have. We were driving down the road the other day, and she goes, I was like, what? She's like, they're re-releasing Bratz dolls. And we've been looking at Instagram and stuff, and actually searching the Bratz hashtag, because we're in a bit of our own of a bubble, doing what we do. So, especially again, like I said earlier in this episode, since COVID, my habits of consuming media have just wildly changed. So, I feel like if this were this time last year and we were doing what we're doing, I might have somehow been on social media and observed this new rising Bratz phenomenon. But here we are, and we've been collecting Bratz dolls for like 4 or 5 months, and we didn't know that they were getting popular again.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Like, we should have, though. Like, it's kind of almost dumb that we haven't. I mean, we did, at least at the beginning when you started buying them, check prices of them on eBay to see if they were skyrocketing or something. And as far as we can tell right now, they're still not. Who knows what will happen after these re-releases. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But it is all very interesting, And maybe you started collecting them at a good time, because they could very well get very hard to collect in another year or two.
Maybe they will. And, I mean, that's exciting that people are into this same thing all over again. Being part of the culture of people being excited about it. But, yeah, it will make it a little bit trickier. People are going to be looking for those Bratz dolls at thrift more often.
The chat's talking about E3. So if you don't know, E3 is, it's like a gaming convention, basically. I'll tell you what kind of sucks about where we are. Every bit of time that passes, I keep thinking, we finally have a platform here. We've got people watching. Conventions are something I wanted to do since the beginning of this, of all kinds. Just anyone we can go to. And, like, COVID happened at the worst time. I'm sure for everybody. It was not a good time for anybody. But, like, conventions were going to be a big part of what we do. The first momentum we ever got on this channel was a regular video game convention, a gaming expo. And we would have already done that expo again since then, had it not been for COVID. But someone's saying it's going to be a digital convention, which sucks. But,
It's better to be safe, having thousands and thousands of people crammed into a tiny stadium right now. Probably a bit too soon, but,
Yeah. When are you guys going to start Game of Thrones? I don't know. We'll watch it eventually. We're actually finishing Westworld right now. So after that, maybe we'll be out of TV shows to watch on HBO. Maybe we'll give it a try. I'm just not in a hurry to do it, because the cat's out of the bag with it. Not that there's spoilers for what happens. Anytime someone talks about Game of Thrones, the names and places in it are so foreign sounding to me, having not watched it, that I don't think I've absorbed anything that's going to majorly spoil it. But what has been spoiled is that it starts out great, it ends up pretty bad. And I don't think I'm looking forward to that. I don't think I'm going to liking a show a lot at the beginning and knowing that the bad stuff's coming.
Yeah. But I mean, it could be just like everybody was all into the hype, and then like 50% of people are going to love it, 50% of people are going to hate it. So maybe the haters just raise their voice.
You know me. I'm normally a person that is very open to whatever. I absolutely am. And I just like that zombie movie, I could sit here and tell you what was wrong with it, but I overall enjoyed it, so there's not a lot to say. I don't think that was the situation specifically with Game of Thrones. What happened was the way it was produced, and how they had to crunch it down to less episodes by the end. It was kind of ruined by the studio, and it was a real tangible thing. It's not like I don't think we're talking matter of opinion here. It just got weird.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna get to it, but Game of Thrones spoilers. Everyone dies.
Everyone dies.
I've absorbed that much.
That's pretty understandable. I know it's kind of like Dexter was a show that did that for me. Everybody was like, "Oh, the end of Dexter is really weird and not good." And I was like, "I'm sure it's fine." And I finished, and I was like, "Well, that was really weird," and I probably should have never watched the end of it.
Yeah, and chat's mirroring my sentiments on it being rushed. Again, it was rushed, but it was also like they had bigger plans. I'm sure whatever they planned on doing was A-okay, because the people making that show, obviously, they were doing something right, but they chopped the number of episodes down. And this is a classic age-old story for like traditional network television. That's a pretty normal thing for a series to be ruined that way. And it's unfortunate that it had to happen to such a prolific series. But I like what HBO does. I love Westworld a whole lot. If you don't know, Westworld on HBO is written and produced by Jonathan Nolan, who is Christopher Nolan's brother. And even further, if you don't know, Christopher Nolan wrote a large portion of Christopher Nolan's films, or had a hand in a lot of them. You'll see writing credits for Jonathan Nolan on a lot of his brother's films.
Which is why I don't understand any of it.
Yeah. So it's some complicated stuff, but it's got that Christopher Nolan twisty vibe to it, Inception, Interstellar vibes. Westworld does. And I'm catching up on it because I never watched that last season. It's been out for a while, so I'm having fun with that. I randomly own the 6th season of Game of Thrones on DVD, and I don't know if I've ever seen it. That's funny. That's a random thing to own.
It is. I mean, that'd be I don't know. How many seasons are in Game of Thrones?
I have no idea. 8?
Is it?
Something
wow,
like that.
That is a lot.
6, 7, 8. I don't know. Somebody tell us how many seasons are in Game of Thrones. Somebody Google it.
I guess jumping into Game of Thrones right now is a bit of an undertaking. That's a big commitment.
Glad to see the Nolan family spread the talent around. Yeah, it's really funny though. He'll pop up on a late night show or something to promote Westworld, and he has a American accent. Jonathan does. So it's like, wait, you're Christopher Nolan's brother. What happened there? It takes a little bit of explaining. Let's see.
Outlander is so good. It's on Netflix too. Do you know of that one?
I don't know. Tab over and Google it. I don't know what it is.
I'm gonna give it a Google.
Is Vikings any good? I've heard people liking it, but wasn't Vikings just it was their grab at trying to have a Game of Thrones series? Isn't that all it was? Let's see some images of it.
It doesn't look like we've seen it.
Yeah, no, we haven't seen that. Looks interesting. 2014 to now. It's been running for a little while.
They're on season 5. The first popular asked question was, "Is there going to be a season 6 for Outlander?" I am that person that Google searches something like that.
Yeah.
I finished an episode, finished the series, and I'm like, "When's the next season come out? Is there going to be another season?"
What was the name of that TV show with Orlando Bloom on Amazon?
That one had Cara Delevingne in it. I'm sure if I Google both of their names, it'll come up.
I'm so bad with the names and stuff. It was good.
The only reason I remember her name is because she's in the fashion world. She's a model, and she's very popular. So, everybody, Cara Delevingne. Okay.
Yeah. Someone mentioned The Nevers on HBO. I've seen that. What's it called?
Carnival Row.
Carnival Row. I would recommend that one, too. I'm excited. I only bring that one up because I did that when it was over. I was like, are we getting a second season here? But it was yet again, for the millionth time, it was another show messed up by COVID. They were like 75% of the way done, and then didn't finish it, and had to finish it later. But we started all this because someone asked about Game of Thrones. We're gonna watch it eventually. It might not even be this year. So if you're gonna ask, because we get asked a lot of people have been asked that. If you're gonna keep asking, you're probably gonna be a little disappointed because we're just gonna, whenever we feel like it. For me, I don't know how you guys choose what to watch. If something comes out and it's really hype, I like watching things when they're hype. So like right now I've been loving all the Marvel stuff because I like watching things at the same time as other people and having something to discuss.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I watch things depending on my mood. Like if I'm not feeling great, if I'm not in a great mood, I don't want to watch dark stuff. Some people do. So I don't know. I'm very picky about what we watch and when. So
I generally like to watch cartoons when I'm not in a great mood.
Which is how we fell into Steven Universe. I really want another season of The Witcher. They're doing another one, right?
Yeah, they should be.
Listen. I'll be honest with you. I didn't play The Witcher. I didn't know anything about it, but I did watch the show, and I was super lost. But I could tell while watching it what they were doing would have been very sentimental, specifically to people that were familiar with it, which is a pretty interesting thing. Very often when those kinds of movies get made that are made because of a video game or whatever, they'll often kind of lose the magic touch. But I liked it, and it did actually make me want to play the game. But I was just I was a little bit lost watching it. But we will watch it.
Someone mentioned Black Sails is a good show. What's that one that we watched? Bone and Sword or something like that?
Recently. It was on Netflix too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something in Bone.
It was pretty good too.
Yeah, it was just fine though, but it didn't knock me off my socks like that Amazon one did.
I feel like that's the most TV that we were watching, but we did power through all of Lord of the Rings. Do you want to give them a recap on your thoughts of that now, seeing it again?
That'd be a good topic. We can talk a little bit about Lord of the Rings. I guess this is just going to be a movie TV stream. Do we have any Tolkien fans in the house? I mean, anybody that just like I'm not talking about, I like Lord of the Rings. Do we have anybody that just like, it's really neat whenever you start talking Tolkien with somebody who's just obsessed with it. We dove really hard into rewatching the Lord of the Rings movies and the Hobbit movies, and we watched the first two extended cuts of Lord of the Rings before bed, went to sleep, woke up, got lunch, and watched the third extended cut, and then that night watched the first Hobbit, and the next morning watched the second and third Hobbit. Though we didn't do extended cuts on the Hobbits because we would have had to pay way more to rent those on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I've always wanted to read all the Tolkien books. I've only ever read The Hobbit, so I'm actually I'm like preparing myself mentally for it. I'm going to, probably before this year's over, going to be rereading The Hobbit and then diving into the Lord of the Rings books, because I just don't feel like I should die and shudder this mortal coil without having read all of Tolkien. So that's something I've really just been thinking a ton about. And someone's got a Lord of the Rings tattoo. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
what is it?
Full sleeve.
What is it of?
That's pretty dope. There's a lot of Tolkien fans up in the house.
Well, it's pretty much the original massive universe. Do you know what I mean? It came way before Star Wars. It came way before any of it. And that makes it pretty special.
Yeah.
And it did it almost, arguably better than all the others too, because the lore, I don't know what was wrong with Tolkien's brain, but he had the ability to create universes in his mind and retain information to a level that probably was unheard of again until probably J.K. Rowling. Some could argue that Lucas was really good at creating this vision and maintaining it in his brain, but Rowling was always, people that know her and stuff always discuss her in a way where her brain just holds on to all that stuff she comes up with. And with Tolkien, I've just been watching these YouTube channels that it's just a Tolkien channel, and they're just doing videos about specific characters at specific times, and it's pretty wild. And it's pretty wild how deep it goes. So I want to finally read all that for myself, because I've said on this live show before, when discussing Star Wars and Marvel, that I'm a universe kind of guy. I like it when there's universe and world building above all else. So the TV shows that we watch and that I like the most will always have that aspect. So I'm very excited to finally get into reading those books. I wonder if the Amazon TV series will be any good. People are definitely very curious about it. There's, if you don't know, with Tolkien, his son, I think his name is Chris. Somebody that knows, correct me if I'm wrong. I think his name is Christopher Tolkien. He hated everything Peter Jackson did with a vengeance, and also snubbed him from getting the rights for the Silmarillion so he could continue to make more stuff. And so that being said, it's going to be interesting to have something in the Tolkien universe that's not made by Peter Jackson. And I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty controversial no matter what happens. I think people are going to just feel one way or the other. there's a very good chance that if you go into it expecting what you got out of the Jackson films, that you're going to hate it. There's a very good chance that whatever it is, because let's think about this. The Lord of the Rings movies were made off of 3 very large novels. Those novels are very voluminous, very detail-oriented. There was a lot of source material there to guide the filmmaking process. Now, I haven't read the books, but I know enough to know that there's plenty that was in the books that was left out. There's plenty in the books that was shortened, because if you watch all the movies, it feels like it happens in like a week. There are certain parts of the Lord of the Rings movies that happen over the course of years, and they're like that in the movies. This is the nature of developing movies from books. We don't have to get into the specifics of that. The Hobbit was 3 even longer movies based off of 1 book with way less detail. You understand the step in the direction that is? Well, now we're really moving to a place where the new Amazon series is really just going to be based off that world. And there are lots of poems Tolkien wrote, tales. There's lots of other little bits of narrative writing that Tolkien created in his universe to base stuff off of, but to say that it is as detailed anywhere near as those books are would be a joke. It's all going to be very loose. So whatever they make, there's going to be a lot of liberties taken. And I think that is going to excite some people, and it's going to turn some people off. That's my biggest thought about it. Rose says, I love the Harry Potter books and Wizarding World at large, but the author is disliked from a lot of fans. Yeah,
There's a lot of talk on the chat right now about the controversy of J.K. Rowling. Right,
well, I will say, as little as I've absorbed it, because the heat of that's really happened through COVID, and as I've pointed out, I've kind of stayed away from media, so I've only absorbed a little bit of it. But when you end up with as much money as someone like that, you tend to lose any care about people actually thinking what you say. So she's just been saying what she thinks, and
despite what she thinks being super controversial.
Yeah, and she just doesn't care. She's got too much money to care. And you know what? There's a lot of this. There's a lot of creators that have come and gone who turned out to beat their wives, or they did really terrible things. And the discussion of whether or not to still consume the art of those who were the worst is a conversation I personally don't feel like having, because it's one that belongs in an ethics and or philosophy class.
It is hard. There are some that are very upsetting. That I personally feel a lot of musical artists that have come forward as being not so great. It's hard to listen to their songs and feel good about it, and it's tricky. It's all very tricky.
Right. Well, and that and Rose says that I identify as trans male, but there's no need to say she sucks. That's a whole other aspect. Again, it belongs in an ethics class. It belongs in an academic setting where it is to be debated. Because I don't know the answer. I like Woody Allen in movies. Woody Allen's a piece of shit. I mean, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, it's hard to sit down and watch one of his films.
This is gonna start a much wider conversation.
Get into it.
And I don't really feel like getting into all of it, but thankfully, as of yet, it doesn't sound like Tolkien was a
controversial man.
An absolute monster. I don't know. I haven't ever really Googled him in that manner. Tolkien was so overly detailed that I know the texture of the leaves in Lothlorien. I have no doubt an entire series can be made with his works. No doubt. But again, I was trying to lay out the scale of things. What they're going to have to do, the Silmarillion is just this kind of ongoing tale, and there's a bunch in it, but there's no one story in it that is anywhere as massive as the other ones he wrote. So it's just fact that whatever they do, the creators of it are going to be able to take way more liberties than they did making the other stuff. The other stuff was like the Bible, like Lord of the Rings is literally a biblical style tale, so and so begat so and so. There was very clear direction. Whatever they do after that is just going to be a lot less of that, and But I'm very excited for. I mean, at any rate, if for me personally, and I usually feel this way, and this conversation is going to continue to come up because at some point, J.K. Rowling isn't going to make any more Harry Potter stuff. But of course, forevermore, there should be more Harry Potter content. I feel this way. Some people will say no, let it die when she stops creating it. It's not going to be real. I personally want to see it keep going. Lord of the Rings, same thing. If we're going to still have that universe, let's hire the best writers out there. Let's hire someone who maybe even is an academic of sorts, or I don't know. Crap, let Christopher Tolkien pick the person himself. I don't know. Let's have it keep going. But some people won't feel that way. Some people will say, absolutely not. Let it die. I've had these discussions with people, and I personally disagree with that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how dirty that Kirby is on the floor? Yeah, it was pulled out of a Goodwill bin, so...
I haven't scrubbed it all yet. It's a big Kirby.
The number of times, once again, people comment when we go to the bins, I can't believe you didn't buy that plush. It's a $25 plush. I don't want to clean it. And I do want to clean that, though, because that one came home as dirty as it is because I actually want it. Harry Potter is a cartoon compared to Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I mean, if you want to make that comparison, obviously...
Well, it was intended for different audiences, wasn't it? Like, Harry Potter was meant more for, like, small children.
I think they're absolutely way more comparable than you think. The Hobbit was way more of a children's tale, and it evolved into something for much more grown-up people, as did Harry Potter. It got way more in-depth by the end. It's just different. I don't think it's a fair comparison to say Harry Potter is just a cartoon. I mean, the little, J.K. Rowling became a much better writer by the end of the last books. I think that was my first reaction when I reread the series as an adult. I was like, I can almost write better in terms of like just language, command of English language than she could in the first one, but she got way better by the end. And the kind of literary genius it takes to build a world, and I've already kind of spoken on this a little bit earlier in this video, but like world building is something I really like. So to look at somebody who builds a universe where there is a way things work. There's a form of government. There's all these things. A lot of people have written a lot of books, and a lot of people have not done it so well. And the detail inside of the Harry Potter books is not to be sneezed at. But Tolkien just happened to be a big brain super genius. Is really all there is to it. I don't think anyone ever. I don't want to say never, but I doubt anyone comes along anytime soon who can do what he did as well as he did. I mean, I was watching a video earlier, and I didn't think about this, how every elf character written in the last 100 years is literally just... Tolkien came up with that. Like Legolas, this green little forest dude with a bow, like, Tolkien made that up, and I don't think I ever really absorbed that into my brain.
Can we just talk about how, like, bad A Legolas is in the entire series, and, like, never says anything? He's just like, oh, that guy needs to be killed? Boop, done.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh yeah, there's Legolas. Cool.
Well, Gordon Stein says The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings were originally stories he would tell his kids. That checks out. I haven't necessarily heard that, but I do know just some of the... Since we watched the movies and I didn't feel like I got enough, I've been watching these YouTubers who just talk Tolkien all the time. So some of the other stories that have been told in the form of poems, etc., outside of of the trilogy and outside of The Hobbit, I've learned a great deal more about that stuff in the last week than I ever thought I would know.
Yeah.
And a lot of those characters are some of that same stuff. Weird stories he just made up and told his kids, and he was like, hold on a second, guys, I'm going to go write this one down.
Write it down for 6 years.
That's exactly how he was. Have y'all watched DC's Legends of Tomorrow? In Season 2, there's an episode that involves Tolkien. No, well, we watched it while it was new for most of the first season. I think that first season was actually out as we were leaving college.
Yeah.
So we moved to California and got lost on a lot of TV shows we were watching and never made it that far. But I bet it's good.
We did have like that was at an awkward part in our life where we were just not really, we didn't even own a TV. There was part of, I think, Arrow and when Flash first came out that we would used to go down to the dorm TV and go sit down and watch it every time it came on during the week.
Yeah.
But then we left. And we couldn't do that anymore because we didn't even own a TV.
Yeah, there were several years there we didn't even own one, and that's pretty much the end of our TV watching for a long time. I mean, really until this last year.
Yeah.
I mean, through COVID and now, we've been watching way more TV and movies than we ever did.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, you've been keeping up with the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
There it is.
On Disney Plus, and it's really good. Highly recommend. Also, I want to make another highly recommend because someone else brought it up. Tory Burks asked Rose if Do you watch Super Carlin Brothers? That's another good one. If you like, they definitely do a lot of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I haven't watched them since we started this channel, being completely honest. Once we started this channel, my YouTube consumption went way down. But there's a channel on YouTube called Super Carlin Brothers, and they talk Star Wars and Harry Potter and any other that bigger world building type stuff that I'm talking about that I like anyways. And they make grade A content, and I would definitely go subscribe to those guys if you're into that kind of thing. The Boys on Amazon is awesome but gory. Yes, I will be honest with you. We watched the first season of The Boys, and I was hooked, and I thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, the second season didn't...
It didn't grab as well.
Yeah, it didn't grab me. I'd left it going, it's not exact. I don't know. I didn't think anything too negatively or good about it. I honestly can now barely even tell you what happened in it. However, this new Netflix show, Saturn's Legacy.
Yeah. Jupiter's Ascending.
I called it Jupiter's Ascending at lunch yesterday.
You said Saturn Rising. I was like, Jupiter Ascending?
No,
close.
See, this is why I got confused. Jupiter's Ascending is a movie by the Wachowski twins, or siblings.
Oh, am I wrong? Hold on.
No, it's Jupiter's Legacy. I'm telling you. I know for sure. You were just as wrong at lunch as I was. We were at lunch, and I said Jupiter Rising, and she goes, or I said Saturn Rising or something stupid. She goes, Jupiter Ascending? And I was like, yeah, that's it. And now it's not. That was the Wachowskis.
You're right.
Yes.
Why we suck.
But yeah, the Netflix show with superheroes, it's good too. You know, and we have HBO now, and they have a Watchmen series. And I don't know if The Boys or Watchmen came out, but they're kind of the same thing. They're like, well, what if superheroes existed in a real gritty world and not an idyllic world like the DC universe, right? What if Superman were a real person with real flaws? That kind of thing. Almost all these shows are based off that. And all three of them, they literally are just different networks' version of the same show. Netflix, Jupiter's Legacy, HBO has, well, I guess, where's The Boys at? Amazon, right?
Yes.
The Boys is on Amazon, and then they're all the same premise. It's just like how we used to get movies, like we got Bugs and Ants at the same time from two different studios. That stuff's still happening on streaming services. That's a perfect example. But I think, as of right now, probably just because it's lighter and more about the idyllic thing like superhero things are, I think I'm leaning towards liking Jupiter's Legacy just a tiny bit more than The Boys. But The Boys is good. Watch it if you haven't.
Well, every time we watch The Boys, I just feel really heavy. It's just like, oh my God.
Again, unless I just want to come away in a darker mood, I don't know if I really want to watch it.
It's so heavy. But like Jupiter's Legacy, it's got some heavy stuff going on, but it's more about, I guess, like about the father-son relationship heavy, whereas the other stuff is just like abuse, sexual abuse, just horrible things happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's rough. It's very rough.
It's awful, but it is really good. It's a good story.
If anybody liked The Boys, Invincible is great. I haven't seen that one. I'm waiting for a God of War movie or animated series. The Darksiders would make a good movie or animated series as well. I think. Someone asked Star Wars or Star Trek. I'll answer that question in a second. Doom Patrol was good, but we didn't finish it, so maybe it wasn't.
Which one's Doom Patrol?
I only do with Brendan Fraser. I only watched it because Brendan Fraser was in it.
Yeah.
And he's got a mask on the whole time. So, was it Star Trek? I'll come back to that. What was the other question? I do want to say I think we're in a really good time. Finally, I'm glad this is going to happen during my existence, but I think we're moving into a much better time for video game related movies. I think we're going to be all right as far as that goes because it's just been such a hard thing to have made for so long now. But I think we're finally going to have a good time. But Star Wars, Star Trek, it's hard I don't know. It's hard for me to pick one over the other. I've definitely consumed way more Star Wars than Star Trek. Ask me that again in a couple of years. I've been very slowly making my way through.
I'm like, it's an easy answer for me. I've never really watched Star Trek.
Well, I just, last year finished the original run, and I'm kind of just slowly meandering through Next Generation. So ask me that again later. But I like both. I really do. But that's enough talk about TV because I could go on forever and ever. Because these days, that's really all That's the most what I've got to look forward to. We come home with some food after our long days of thrifting, and we watch something.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do as soon as this video's over, I'm going to rip this suit off, take another cookie, and go watch Westworld. Is what I'm going to end up doing.
It's a great visual. You're going to pop the buttons and everything.
Yeah.
Please don't. I like those buttons.
I did read that. We're just going to talk about nothing else. That Dave Bautista wants to do a God of War movie. The article I read, I can't remember exactly what it said, but they brought him in to ask him if he wanted a role in one movie. He said, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about me playing Drax in a God of War movie, which would be dope. That's great. All right, well, you guys got any more questions or topics you want to talk about before we get out of here? We got about 10, 15 minutes before we're going to go and just eat cookies.
What kind of music do you like?
I like emo stuff from when I was in high school, like Dashboard Confessional and Blink-182. Very easy for me to answer.
I wouldn't consider that super emo, though.
Well, Dashboard Confessional is the kind. When I was in high school, that's what emo was. That's all. That's all there was. I'm not talking about 5 years, 6, 7 years later, like My Chemical Romance or whatever it is now.
True. My era of emo was a lot darker.
Slip off those Crocs and munch on some cookies.
Noms.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. What music do you like?
80s rock stuff.
80s rock stuff.
Yeah. You know, well, I guess, like, the first one I was going to use as an example is the Beatles, which is not 80s at all, but I like Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, Queen, Bernie, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. They left notes on the back of these cookies.
Wait, did they?
Well, it's about paint. These were supposed to be painted. What? They gave us the paint cookies, and I didn't put to it. It's fine.
The paint your own. I get it now. Yeah. I'm glad we didn't eat them already.
Right? Because I almost did.
That's so funny.
That's funny. What's your biggest bucket list item you would both want to thrift? That's a good question. I don't know. We get asked that a lot, and it's always more like what's on my brain at the time. I don't know. Probably for me, just one of those really super expensive GameCube games that I'll forever and always not have to spend money on. Can you think of anything?
Mine's always stuff that's like, the reason I haven't bought it yet is more practical. Like, I would like to find a KitchenAid mixer. We've found several, but I just don't have room for it in our kitchen. I would like to find a really beautiful, like, velvet couch. We don't have room for that. So it's like all things down the road that I'll eventually find. But I hope that whenever I do find it, we have the space.
I'm enjoying that there's some people in the audience with tastes in music adjacent to my own. I wouldn't say exactly, but Death Cab for Cutie. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the lead singer of Death Cab for Cutie is the same guy as Postal Service, right? I'm 90% sure. Both great. When I was in high school, here's exactly for me how music happened. I don't know how this happened, but I was about 15 years old, and I had a little bit of cash in my pocket. We were in the mall, and there was an FYE in my hometown. It has not been there for years. We have one here in Phoenix, but I haven't seen too many of them.
Yeah.
They're still around, though. And I bought a Yellow Card CD. And it was this really strange turn of events where I loved it. I loved this Yellow Card CD so much. It was Ocean Avenue. I'm sure a lot of you that are around my age are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And I played it for my girlfriend at the time. She was like, oh, if you like that, you're going to love this. And she put Fall Out Boy's From Under the Cork Tree album, which has Sugar We're Going Down Swinging, Dance, Dance on it. And my life was changed. I asked for a guitar for Christmas. I got it. I learned to play. Pop punk music became my life for the next 10, 15 years. And that was it. So I, like, someone said something about Panic and all those things. Like, a lot of that stuff was great, and I liked it. But for me, music, like the music at the heart of my core is probably Blink-182, and then Angels and Airwaves, which was Tom DeLonge's band after that. Dashboard Confessionals, Fall Out Boy's really early stuff. But thanks, Sal, for the 10. For sure, Dutch Bros Coffee, stay humble.
I love Dutch Bros.
Hannah will definitely use that. But what I was going to say about, like, Fall Out Boy and Paramore, like, I liked Paramore growing up when they were doing their pop punk thing, but, like, their new music has been this, like, have you heard it?
No, I haven't.
You need to. You would like it even more than me, and I like it a lot. like, and it's about like, or Brandon Urie. I don't know if he's like solo career or if it is still Panic, but like he's making some banger tunes too.
It's so
Sum
funny.
41, let's go, all killer, no filler.
You know, it's funny. Now that I'm older, I haven't really listened to new music at all. Like my consumption of music is, oh, I'm gonna listen to Cyndi Lauper. Like I just listen to old stuff. I don't know.
The Used is good. Good Charlotte from back in the day. I mean, all this was stuff I was listening to. Like, I remember getting Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Simple Plan, all their first albums. I remember having them. And I was a little late. It was all a few years after they'd been out. Because, like, I was 15 in what? I don't know, 2004, 5, something like that. But my favorite band of all time is this band called The Dangerous Summer. And I can tell you the quick run of how I got there. There was a band that my girlfriend at the time was listening to called Mayday Parade, and again, I'm sure some people are going to know who they are. Hannah and I, when we met, she knew it. She knew it well.
They were my favorite band whenever I was in high school. Like, I listened to nothing but them.
Very melodramatic, very emo, if you will. And again, generationally, there's going to be a different definition for emo, so that's probably not going to mean the same to you. But I liked them a lot. They had this album that, still to this day, I think every song's on it's a banger. Like, I put that album up there with Fall Out Boys from Under the Cork Tree, of just songs, a whole CD of songs that could be singles, just really good. But their second CD came out, and I was like, this is garbage. I didn't understand why it was so effing bad.
Yeah.
And I went and I Googled it. Turns out they kicked out the guy.
You're like, why is Mayday Parade horrible now?
Yeah, they kicked out this guy that actually wrote all the songs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would hate to have that wrong. I don't know. But he was definitely heavily involved in writing the songs. So they were different. Not necessarily not as good. I think their music these days is just fine. But
yeah,
that guy started his own band called
Go Radio.
And they're supposed to be making another album for the first time in years now. But anyways, I like that band a lot, and it's still something I like a whole lot. And but what I did one day is Google. I didn't have enough. I was like, I need more. I Googled bands like Go Radio, and I found this band called A Dangerous Summer. And I think The Dangerous Summer was the title of a Hemingway novel.
Oh.
And I think I've read it, but someone correct me if I'm wrong, if it wasn't him. It might have been someone else. But that's my favorite band. I listen to them on repeat every day now. But I wanted to show you guys this. Take You Back Sunday is good, too. The guy, one of the guys, not the main singer, Fred dude, he had his own solo career, and he made this really weird, maybe it was a band. It was called The Color Fred or something. It was weird. I want to show you guys one of my prized possessions, and I found this at the Goodwill Bins. This is a Goodwill Bins find.
This was a crazy day.
I'm not going to get it in all this camera. I know there's a lot of people here with different music tastes, so this isn't going to mean a lot to you, but this was just because this was my jam. As a matter of fact, even this EP they made called Underdog EP had some weird songs on it. I was in my bedroom at the age of 15 screaming those emo songs at the top of my head, punk rock. So I still like Yellow Card. They're not really together anymore. They made their last album together a few years back, but I have that hanging on my wall. I'll never get rid of it. It's signed by all the original, original is a loose term, but the original-ish members except for the drummer, which sucks. And I'd love to have it signed by the drummer. And I actually know somebody who's good friends with his significant other, or was in high school. And one of these days, I'm just going to like sheepishly be like, get this dude to sign this poster.
Please connect me.
Yeah. Loved Warped Tour. I saw All Time Low.
Loved All Time Low. You
That's
didn't
awesome.
like them as much, did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's like Panic at the Disco and some of those other bands that surround that era that I listen to it. But
They were like Mayday Parade and All Time Low were my two bands that I listened to. I'd put in one CD, I'd take it out, put in the other CD, and just like listen to them back and forth. Well, or on my iPod, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, signed Yellow Card picture though. One of the best finds I've ever. What's my grail find? Video game stuff, sure, but like anytime I come home with something that specific to my youth, I'll probably be happier than anything. The day someone offered me like $150 for it.
Oh really?
When I found it, yeah.
One of the guys there.
Yeah, one of the Hype Beast kids.
That's funny.
And he looked like a punk rocker.
Like,
I almost felt bad because I was like, he probably would have loved it as much as me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm going home with this.
But like, you love it as much as you, so.
There's a lot of people are bringing up Warped Tour. There was a very specific couple of years there where I would kill to go back and go. Where like literally all those bands we've mentioned were all there at once. Sometimes I'll find at the bins one of those random Warped Tour compilations.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, I'd kill to be there.
Yeah.
If it would either be one of those, if you could go back to any musical date in history, it would either be one of those Warped Tours or one of my favorite recordings of all time, the band I've mentioned a couple times called Dashboard Confessional. They played Madison Square Garden in like 2004 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And there's a live recording of it that floats around, and I've got a copy of it. And it's just, it's like, I don't know, it's heaven in my ears is what it is. And I would love to go back and see that in person.
Have you ever been to a Warped Tour?
I've never, no.
I went to one.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I can tell you my concert history in a pretty short run.
Oh, yeah? I feel like you've been to a lot more concerts than I have.
I don't know. I mean, if you've been to Warped Tour, you've probably already seen way more bands than me.
Yeah, well, Warped Tour, I didn't know really what it was. My two best friends at the time were obsessed with music, and all of these bands that we've been mentioning, they were so into it. They're like, Hannah, do you want to go? I was like, sure, why not? I thought it would be fun. That was the day I learned...
Dan Shoes knows exactly what I'm talking about. Her Hair is Everywhere. That's the best song on that recorded album.
I did not know what you meant, and I was like, what's wrong with my hair?
Screaming. Anyways.
But that was the day I learned that you can sweat salt, because you can get so dehydrated that you sweat out salt, and that was disgusting.
Yeah.
But there was a ton of people there, and I think the thing that was such a bummer about Warped Tour is they play multiple bands at one time, and you have to pick between which three you want to listen to. You can only listen to one, and so it was really tricky. There was two bands playing at the same time that one that I really wanted to see, and then the other one was Mayday Parade.
Right.
And I didn't know who Mayday Parade was at the time. And so my friends were like, we're going to Mayday Parade. I'm sorry about your other band. And I was like, God, guys, you guys suck. And so we go.
Do you know what year it was?
I don't. I'd have to look it up. I want to say...
Because the guy that I liked in the band was...
Like 2000... Like, graduated in 11. And it would have been like my sophomore year?
It would have been online, but I think he left the band in like 2006 or 7.
Yeah, it would have been like
that album,
8 or 9.
But see, this is what was crazy. That album... This is history you guys don't need to know. We don't even need to talk about it. Anyways, someone said Hoobastank slap for a minute, and boy did they. When very early on, I forget the name of that album, that The Reason, you all know it.
I'm not a perfect...
The album that CD was on, I worshiped that CD.
Yeah.
The whole album was good. And I had their album before it and a couple after it and kept up with them for a while. They're all still making music, the Hoobastank guys. I think only one of the original members is gone, the bass player. That's funny. But I listened to them around that exact same time.
Yeah.
You got to end the stream jamming out with your guitar. I wish. The amp's here, but the guitar's not.
It's probably not even
I could play
strung.
that. I could still, to this day, play that.
Yeah.
Just that riff. I couldn't play the whole song, but I could play that riff.
Oh. Someone did ask, what instruments can you play? They asked both of us.
Okay, well, I can play... I'm classically trained to play the flute. It's probably the only thing I can play proficiently, as in reading music, execution, sight reading music. It's the only one. I can take a guitar and play like a lead riff to, like, I know the scale. I can play guitar. I mean, but it's not. I'm not great. Like, I can't shred. Like, a buddy of mine just sent me a video of him shredding, and I was like, I couldn't do that in my life. My fingers were never that able. But I could back up anybody in the world playing just a guitar or playing the bass chords of a song on a piano. I'm not going to get too fancy, but I can play the pad, as they say. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it gets a little weird. There's a lot of instruments that for the sake of making a recording once or twice, I've picked up and fudged a few notes and got it out there. There's probably 100 instruments that way.
Yeah.
If it has strings, I can usually make an okay sound in the matter of practicing for an hour or two to record something. And then woodwinds get a little weird from there, but I can, if you give me a day or 3 with almost anything, I can make it convincing.
And that's how I am. I got guitar lessons and piano lessons when I was in high school, so I can feel like I'm confident in both of those. I played the trumpet in band, so I can definitely play the trumpet. Right. I played mellophone for a little while too, which is basically a fancy trumpet. So anything like in the brass section, right, I can usually get through. I tried to play the saxophone for a little while. I had borrowed my friend's saxophone for like a week, and I got a pretty good bass layer of like the notes and everything, right, but of course she needed it back, so
of course
I couldn't keep her saxophone.
Well, I'll tell you what's really funny about this conversation is like I appreciate there's still about 150 people watching. I think about 120 of you have no idea what we're talking about, and the 20 of us that were the right age at the right time are having a great conversation about a very specific era of music, because a lot of people are talking about Incubus. Incubus was so funny. I remember getting in a fight with my girlfriend at the time because I was like, oh, what's that band that sounds just like Hoobastank? Oh, and it was Incubus. And she liked Incubus way, way more.
Oh, really?
So that was like an insult, I think, to her. And, like, but it was like literally, there's like a few songs there that those two lead singers have the exact same voice. Yeah. They don't have the same style of music. I wouldn't say that, but that's a funny one. Incubus was good. But hello from Elizabeth in Denver. I am glad y'all enjoyed the 2 boxes. Boy, did we.
You want to tell them what I did last night?
What'd you do?
I sat down with all of the Bratz stuff all y'all sent me. And I sorted out everything, and I was really excited. The first package had a Megan doll in it that was complete, and I was able to put her on the shelf. So she's back there. She's hidden behind one of the other dolls. But and then I have another one that is this from Elizabeth that was full complete with with both of her outfits except for the one shirt. It has her like hat, her earmuffs, it even has her little coffee cup that came with it. So right. I was pleased as punch. It was great.
Pleased as punch. I don't know if I've ever heard that in my life.
Pleased as punch.
Several people mentioned Linkin Park too. It's that same thing. It's that same era. It was like I think I could close my eyes and flip through the CD book that I had. I had it very well organized to kind of what I was listening to at the time. And it was literally like Linkin Park, but they had a CD in between their two. They had like an EP in between their first 2 albums, and it had like weird versions of a couple of their songs. I don't remember the name of it, but the artwork had like a Gundam looking thing on it. It was green. But I had that CD because I loved it so much, and then it was literally Yellow Card, Ocean Avenue, and then Hoobastank's The Reason, whatever that CD was called. The CD might have just been called The Reason. I can't remember. But like I can go on. All that stuff was there. I love that's exactly how old I was. Retro Goldfish says LP was the shit. Are you talking about LP from Yellow Card, or are you talking about
Linkin Park?
Oh, Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny enough, the guy that didn't sign my Yellow Card poster, this is why my brain went there, his name is LP. Well, his name is Longinu Parsons III.
Hello?
People call him LP because that's
Longinu.
A mouthful.
That is a mouthful. Oh, gosh.
That's great. Reanimation is what I was trying to recall. That is exactly it, Lorenzo. Thank you very much. It's just been such a long time. But that was good stuff. I liked Linkin Park a lot back then. And the same kind of thing. Like as those albums progressively came out, I've always listened to them at least once. Just to see what's going on with them. But it's been a long time. You guys are bringing back a lot of memories. I appreciate all you guys hanging in there with us this conversation. We haven't really been planning stuff for these live shows because I quite like what we're doing today. Just kind of letting it see where it goes.
Yeah. Talked about some fun stuff today.
Yeah, come back next time. We'll talk about a different era of music. I don't know. They're talking about the Jay-Z and Linkin Park collab. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
It was almost crazy how well that worked out.
Yeah.
Jay-Z would rap some of his songs over there. It was nuts.
I'm like, well, I think, was it Jay-Z the one that like threw in some rap into one of their really popular songs?
No, they made a whole album together doing
that. Okay.
Yeah. I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but again, I'm diving way back in the memory banks here. Perhaps it's Jay-Z's record label thing they're on.
Okay. I think someone in chat said that.
Well, the way that these things work is Jay-Z basically ends up owning a division of the record label he's on to produce music under. So it is his, but it's a complicated thing. I think they're on his label. I don't know, though. But that was good.
Music industry is confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I've got most of the people that I call friend in this world are music industry or music majors in college, or they're working in the industry now, because that's what I grew up in. So many of my friends went to schools in and around Nashville for music business is I think what they were calling the degree back then. But yeah, it's good times. You guys drop some suggestions before we get out of here, because we are going to get out of here almost immediately. You drop some suggestions what you think you might want to talk about next week. Because if we come back, hey, I can talk about Yellow Card and Fallout Boy until my voice box falls out. But we'll find something else to talk about next week. Because I was saying we haven't really been playing anything because we just like to show up and talk. That's what this is becoming. And just a note for anyone listening right now, we're going to continue doing live shows. We did take last week off, and part of us kind of wonders if it would be better to start doing it once a month, so it's a little bit more, pre-planned. Because doing it every week, we're just not going to have the time making daily videos like we do to prepare something super awesome every time, which is not a bad thing. I don't mind just showing up and chatting, but much like today, when it turns to a subject that not everyone wants to talk about, people will fall off, and that's fine. It's not a huge complaint, but maybe we'll start doing it. Maybe we'll go through part of the summer and then drop off to once a month until the cold weather comes back and we can do it a little bit more comfortably. I don't know. Dan says, yeah, I missed you guys last week. Well, I appreciate you coming back nonetheless. We were out of town, just didn't get back fast enough. We use this setup that we're streaming on to shoot for a couple different channels in a couple different ways, and so we're always moving camera equipment around, so it takes me an hour. Sometimes it takes me longer to set all this up than it does for us to actually stand here and do this live show, right? Y'all need to do a Halloween special. That's actually how we started the quote-unquote Tendo Show. We did holiday videos for the first part of our channel.
I remember we went to a pumpkin patch and bought pumpkins, and it was awesome.
I got a picture somewhere with the violinist of Yellow Card. Sean Mackin, I think was his name. Very good. Why is that funny?
Sean Mackin, I know him. He's a good guy.
I know a lot about him. I don't know.
Drop that name like it was just bloop, there it is.
Well, my brain retains information pretty well. Yeah, so let's see. What else? Anybody make any suggestions about what to talk about next week?
Not about next week. But...
Do one every other week? Maybe. I mean, we're going to do something different. I don't know. We just, one every week is, it's just a little bit too much. But that's funny. What else? Somebody make a suggestion about what we talk about. Let's decide. Listen, let's decide as a group right now what we're going to come back next week and talk about.
A whole week to be excited about it.
When's the next Minecraft video? Tomorrow. Yay! 10 p.m. my time, so 3 p.m. Eastern.
Speaking of Minecraft, every 10 minutes or so, I can hear the phantom night monster in the other room dying from the sunlight.
I bet when I go back and watch this video back, I'm going to hear it. I hear it too.
Yeah.
Talk about bread. You want to have a whole video about bread?
Well, maybe I'll just make bread, and then we'll just have different bread samplings.
That'd be funny. Well, we'll do bread one day when we make a live show just cooking stuff. Hannah could just make us breads.
Someone asked a long time ago about doing a cooking series. I wanted to say that is definitely going to be part of my channel whenever that comes around. So
when Hannah gets around to making her own content, that'll be all her.
Don't worry.
I like good cooking, but I don't know that I'm much of a cook myself. Someone said they liked the reselling topic a couple months ago. I did too. So what can we come back next week? I'm telling you, if somebody says something good, we'll end the stream right now, and I'll schedule that video next week, and we'll talk about that. Zucchini bread. You guys just want to talk about bread?
Zucchini bread is bomb, dude. I don't know if you know this.
Star Wars, especially the Bad Batch. Maybe we'll do Star Wars. We'll do a Star Wars episode when the Bad Batch is over, because I've been enjoying it. I like it a lot. I've got a lot of good things to say about the Bad Batch on Disney Plus. Not sponsored, but highly recommended. Didn't we very early on in this run of our live shows have a whole movie episode? You guys click on this link that Joe just posted to our Discord and go join our Discord if you haven't already. We can continue some of these conversations over there. We talk a little bit about movies over on the Discord. Not enough, honestly. Not nearly enough. I added that section. There's a tab on our Discord called What Are You Watching or Playing? So obviously, given what we've got going on here, a lot more people are talking about the video games they're playing. However, I like talking about movies. I mean, if you didn't notice from the first half of this show, Hannah making bread would be good, but like she said...
But I don't have an oven in the game room.
Well, see, you know what we'll probably end up doing when you get it, you know, when we find a way to slow down some of the things we're doing and transition to other things, and you have a channel, we'll probably do 2 live streams a week, just one on here and one on yours.
Yeah.
And that way I'll stand in the kitchen with my camera filming you doing bread things.
It's like, now we're going to knead the dough. Knead
Yeah.
the dough.
That's funny. Just come back. A lot of people have said Star Wars. Indie film's not a bad one. So it's pretty much next week's live stream is going to be titled Breads and Movie.
Breads and Movies. Can the bread be a pizza crust, or we
Movie
just
sandwich.
eat pizza?
It'll just be a movie sandwich. That's what next week's...
There you go.
Hannah likes bread. I guess some of you guys just like bread.
I love bread.
She does too.
I would eat nothing but bread if it was actually healthy to do that.
It makes me feel fat. Like I know exactly how big I am. Do you know what I mean? That looks weird standing right behind you. I'm very conscious of how big I am. I don't care. But when I eat the bread, it makes me feel fat. Especially if I eat as much as you do.
Oh, but I love it so much. Different like fruit breads, and then you've got your sourdoughs and your ryes, and it's just
Right.
so many different flavor combinations, and then you can make it into a whole meal. You just chuck some meat in there, and then you just like, hello, now I got a sandwich, but it's hot and toasty, and it's fantastic.
Someone said Olive Garden breadsticks are awesome. Yes, they
are good.
We have been eating Texas Roadhouse on Sundays. Because apparently it's not a bloomin' onion. What's it called?
Cactus blossom, because
Cactus
that makes
blossom.
sense.
That's the only reason we've been going, pretty much. But I say that because their bread is good. It's very good. But I've been trying to eat a little less of such things, so I only partook in one of the breads while Hannah had the other 7.
Hey, there were 4 in that basket. I had 3, and then you rudely told the waitress not to bring us more. And I was like, hey, don't tell me how to live my life.
Because I'm killing myself, because all we do is eat. So I'm trying to eat
Think
less.
for yourself. No, you were definitely looking out for me. You were like,
Yeah.
don't bring more bread. She'll eat it all.
Well, she said, would you guys like any more? And I said no, which was me answering for myself. You could have said yes, please. I can control myself. I cannot eat the bread. You can eat all the bread you want.
Oh, I guess.
Who's going to Savers tomorrow? We very well may be, if we get up early enough.
Yeah. Today is Sunday, isn't it?
All right, we're going to get out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for talking about music. Thanks for your suggestions for next week. For those of you that are just showing up, sorry, we're out of here. Go rewind and rewatch this. This video will still be up tomorrow. Though, as soon as I hit the end button, you should be able to rewind and watch back. But if not, you'll probably have to come back in like 20 minutes and watch them. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hannah, any final thoughts?
Someone said that apparently Walmart's selling Krispy Kreme donuts. Yes, they are. We've already bought a box. They're good.
Yeah. Been there, buddy. But we also live around a bunch of actual Krispy Kremes.
Yeah.
Which I understand if some of you don't. But we get them sometimes fresh off the line. So
And you should definitely do that if you can.
if you have the opportunity. You guys rock. I love you all. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is a game haul video, which I'm going to go edit right now while Hannah cooks. What are you cooking for dinner?
Some chicken breasts and some green beans, because you need to be healthy now. Because you had a steak.
For lunch. Yeah, so come back for tomorrow's video. Hit the like button on this video before we get out of here. What is it at? 99 likes. Come on. 99 likes.
One of you right now.
Just one, though. Just one.
Just one.
Come back for tomorrow's video, game haul video, actually from Savers. One of the better video game hauls I've had in a little while. That's all I'll say about it. Come check it out
It's a good
tomorrow.
one.
You guys rock. See you then. Peace out.